Yo, what's up guys? We are back on Pokemon Showdown for my team builder for week 3 of the PMC D-League. We are playing the Mesquite Mesprits and their coach Kyle this week. Another opponent who's in my division, so it's a pretty important game. We are both 1-1. He won last week after losing in week 1. And he has a pretty threatening team in my opinion. He's the best mon in the league format, and it's annoying to prep for this thing. He has Mega Metagross, as you can see, and this thing, in my opinion, is absolutely broken. I mean, I have Hooper on my team, but Mega Metagross has anything you would want in a Pokemon in this format. It has a great move pool. It has insane speed at 110. It has 140 attack, 150 defense, solid overall bulk, great typing both offensively and defensively, and it literally has no switch-ins in the format, because you can just prep for mons that in a standard OU meta game would wall it, but you can just run some attacks, for example, to counter Landorus T, which I have on my team, or Slowbro, which I also have on my team but don't bring this week. You could just run Thunder Punch, which it normally doesn't, or Grass Knot, or something like that, and it's like pretty annoying to play this monster, and I gotta play around it, I guess. Also, yes, on his team, the Conkeldurr, Latios, Togekiss, Honchkrow, Roserade, Flygon, Exploud, Rampardos, Tauros, and Electrode. It's not a really fast team, and it's not a really fat team. He doesn't have like the best walls. Monsters he could bring with a defensive set are only the Flygon, the Roserade maybe as a special wall, and the Togekiss. Besides that, his team is hyper offensive. Even though, although it's not the fastest in the world, he has like 2 mons that are now 3 mons. Besides Mega Metagross, that hit a good speed here in Tauros, Latios, and Electrode. But I doubt he'll bring the Tauros versus me because it doesn't do much. He won't bring the Rampardos because that thing sucks. And yeah, the rest of the roster, I probably have to face like the Latios, the Conkeldurr, and the Metagross. He probably will bring the Togekiss for defog, and I expect the Roserade also because it's pretty good versus my team. I don't have the best switch-ins for it. Mons that I bring this week are my Golurk, my Landorus T, my Mega Lopunny, my Aselgor, my Hooper, and my Cobalion. And as you will see, I bring some fucking heat this week, and I hope I can pull off some crazy sweep at the end. I'm gonna bring like fire sets that would make Envy or Blunder proud. I really hope so. The first one I have is my Golurk, because I needed a rocker other than Landorus T, because this thing will be my main way to kill the Metagross, and I have to run a Scarf variant for it, and I don't want to lock myself in the Stealth Rock. So I bring the Golurk with the Colba Berry to like not die from a Life Orb knockoff from Conkeldurr and stuff like that. With the No Guard ability, because I run Dynamic Punch and try to have like confuse him and have the RNG in my favor, because I need a little luck to pull off what I wanna do later in the game. Yeah, it's like Earthquake, Dynamic Punch, Shadow Punch, Stealth Rock, 2 stabs, and Dynamic Punch for confusion shenanigans, and to hit, of course, the Tauros a little harder than Earthquake would like, and just to fire off some confusions and yeah, force some switches, because I need rock damage on his team to be able to sweep later, because he could pack a random Focus Sash or something like that, and yeah, I just need rocks to make sure I 1-hit KO stuff and not 2-hit KO them. The EVs are pretty simple: max attack and enough speed to outspeed Togekiss if it runs no speed at all, or just 4 EVs in speed. That's the fastest stuff I can outspeed with an Adamant nature, and it will probably help me versus Conkeldurr that tries to speed creep me, because he won't run Jolly Max speed Conkeldurr. I can outrun the Explode if it doesn't pack too much speed in it. I can outrun a bulkier variant of Honchkrow, and yeah, that's basically it. I don't really need the HP because this thing just has to set up rocks and hit like a couple months before it dies. It's not too important for my team this week. Next up, I have my Choice Scarfed Lander T with a pretty standard set, I guess. Earthquake, Stone Edge, U-turn, and Explosion. Hits really everything on this team. I feel like Earthquake, nothing likes to switch in on it besides the Flygon and of course the Levitating Mons. But I have a Stone Edge for Latios and Togekiss. Well, U-turn for the Latios, of course. And for the Honchkrow, of course, as well. And for Flygon, I pack the Explosion if I like have to weaken it to a certain point if it's a defensive variant, or just Oko it if it's offensive Flygon. So with this set, I can like punch some holes in his team to sweep with my Lopunny, Hooper, or Cobalion, as you will see later. I run Choice Scarf because I have to outspeed the Mega Metagross and revenge kill it if possible. Because I won't run High Jump Kick on my Lopunny, which could have 2-hit KO the Metagross, but so my main answer for this thing is the Lander 2 with the Earthquake, the Golub with the Earthquake, and my Hooper, and of course my Cobalion. Yeah, it's a pretty standard set, but it is here to break through his wall core, weaken stuff to a point where I can sweep with one of my offensive mons. And now we come to the first heat set in my roster this week. I bring the Fake Out Last Resort Adamant Mega Lopunny. When you look at his roster, he only has 2 resists to normal type. One is the Mega Metagross, one is the Tauros. With an Adamant nature, not the Tauros, the Rampardos, sorry. With an Adamant nature, I can basically Oko everything besides these 2 mons after rocks with Fake Out and Last Resort. Conkeldurr goes down. Latios after rocks has a really high chance to faint if he doesn't run a lot of HP or defense. Togekiss goes down after rocks because rocks do 25% and this thing is not as bulky as you think, and yeah. Honchkrow is frail, so is Roserade. Flygon, if it's offensive, I can easily kill it. Explode, Tauros, Electro 2. I have enough speed to outspeed the 110 base mons on his team, Latios, Metagross, and Tauros. I cannot outspeed the Electrode, so I don't need any more speed this week on Lopunny, which allows me to run an Adamant nature. This thing, if I somehow can catch the Metagross with an EQ or something, this thing probably can sweep after I set up rocks. It's one of my 3 main win conditions this week. I decided to bring like hyper offense because I have trouble switching in on like a moveset from his offensive threats like Draco Meteor, Meteor Mash from Metagross, Brave Bird from Honchkrow, Boom Burst from Explode. I really struggle versus his entire roster basically, so I have to run a hyper offensive team. Next up, I have like a really fun set for my Asphalgor. You already see that item here, the Bright Powder. It's an Agility, Baton Pass, Substitute, and Encore variant. You probably, when you see Hooper showing in the back here, you probably know what I try to do. I want kinda bring this thing in safely on a move that's either can't really touch me, for example, Mark Punch from Conkeldurr, which doesn't break my sub with the EVs I have, unless it's Bandit. Bandit Iron Fist breaks my sub, but I think I can, my sub doesn't break if he runs Life Orb, Adamant, Sheer Force Mark Punches, Conkeldurrs, and Mark Punches me, so this could come in handy, the investment. The goal is to like Encore something into a move that can't hit me, for example, Sucker Punch from Honchkrow, a Defog from Togekiss, a Substitute from one random mon, and then set the Agility and Baton Pass into either Hooper, Cobalion or even my Golak if it's still alive. I have the Bright Powder because I don't really need another item. I doubt he'll bring a Taunter versus me, because like this thing outspeeds his entire roster anyway, and he cannot like taunt me before I set up spikes, which he will probably expect, but or because I set up substitutes in this case. But so taunt doesn't make sense. He will probably bring the Togekiss or the Latios for defog, but I don't really mind it because I don't run spikes this week. I only want my rocks and get a little damage off on some of his mons. Yeah, I want to set up substitutes and Baton Pass and agility boost to one of my mons, and Bright Powder can actually come in handy. It gives me like a better chance to make a air slash from Togekiss miss, for example, or maybe even like a 100% accurate move that misses, and so that I can Baton Pass a substitute and a boost into a mon, so that it doesn't have to take damage on the switch in, which would be amazing. So one of the mons I wanted to Baton Pass into is my Hooper. I bring a special Hooper this week again with substitute, because maybe I can bluff a Scarf earlier versus something and set up a sub and then hit whatever wants to come in on the switch in. I have Dark Pulse, Psyshock, Thunderbolt, and of course substitute with the Wise Glass just to boost my special attacks a little more. I'm not too much of a fan of Life or Plus substitute, because all the damage it racks up isn't too helpful, especially when you have a mon like Hooper, which is kind of frail, especially on the physical side, as you can see here. I have 44 EVs in HP to like have 11 hits. No, that was before I put a Wise Glass on. I want the Life Upset and put 161 HP to have like 11 solid hits with my Life Up, but it doesn't matter at all with the Wise Glasses. But I just left the spread because it doesn't really matter. Of course I have max special attack. Look at the stat here, 244, that's insane. He has nothing that can really switch into my Hooper, especially with the Wise Glasses boost. And I have enough speed to outrun Adamant Honchkrow, I believe, and of course stuff like Explode, unless it's timid, and stuff like Rampardos. I can outspeed all his slower mons and fire off some huge attacks. The attacks are pretty simple. Dark Pulse hits Metagross, Latios, Roserade, Flygon, Explode, Rampardos, Taurus, and Electrode pretty hard. Thunderbolt kills the Togekiss and the Honchkrow, and Psyshock of course destroys the Conkeldurr. If I can like get a little damage off on potential defensive Flygon and on maybe Togekiss or Latios and maybe even a bulky Metagross, and I can Baton Pass and agility into my Hooper, I sweep. He cannot like revenge this thing because he doesn't have too much priority. If Honchkrow comes in, I just go for substitute to so that he can't sucker punch me. Metagross does only 40 to 50% with the bullet punch. Conkeldurr does like 30%, and I think that's yeah, anything he can do to me with in forms of priority. So if I can Baton Pass some speed on this thing, have rocks up and like weaken some stuff to a point where I can kill it, I win the game basically. But to be honest, Hooper is not my main way of sweeping this week, just because it's not that easy to Baton Pass speed into it, especially because it's so frail, and I don't want to play the sucker punch mind games with the Honchkrow and stuff, and therefore I have my Cobalion this week. As you can see, a dual dance variant with the Life Orb. At +2 I kill Metagross after rocks, Conkeldurr with the close combat, Latios with the Iron Head, Togekiss I have a 50% chance to, or a 60% chance to kill Togekiss after rocks, even if it packs a Babiri Berry to weaken my Iron Heads. And yeah, if I can get like 30 to 35% off, I'd kill it at +2 even with the berries and basically kill one of his only answers. Honchkrow goes down to close combat, so does Roserade, so does Flygon after 2 rock switch-ins, I believe. If it's a defense variant, Explode dies, Rampardos dies, Tauros dies, and Electro dies. Close combat and Iron Head are like really the only things I need, because I don't need super effective damage if I run on stuff like Latios, if I run a Life Orb SD set, because it stat moves, and without a resist they can really punch holes through his team and sweep later. I have the Rock Polish, even though I want to Baton Pass speed into it, but just in case my Aselga is already down or I cannot Baton Pass speed into it, I have the Rock Polish to maybe set up on something. Maybe a locked choice locked Electrode into HP Ice or something. I can easily set up a Rock Polish and then an SD. Again, this team doesn't really like switching into stuff, especially mons like Mega Metagross or Latios, or even the Honchkrow, or Scarfed Outrage from Flygon. I don't really have a lot of answers for his team, and it's gonna be a tough one. But if I have a chance to get speed into Hooper or Cobalion, I can basically win the game. Or if I get rid of the Metagross, Lopunny has a great chance to sweep. Even my Landorus T can sweep his team if I get rid of like the Levitators, or if I just have to hit like 2 or 3 Stone Edges at the end. It really depends on what kind of damage I can get off with the rocks, and with like maybe an Earthquake from Lando or an EQ from Golurk. I have to force some switches so that everything gets a little weakened, and that I can sweep with one of like these 4 mons here: Lopunny, Lando, Hooper, and Cobalion. So that's my team for this week. I think it's pretty flames, especially as Selgar said. I hope the Bright Powder can come through, and we can Baton Pass an agility boost safely into one of my sweepers here. I believe in my boy Selgar. It's actually the last game I will be able to use it, because after this week I made some changes to my team. I'm gonna drop a Selgar, Slowbro, and Landorus T for Scolipede, Slowking, and Landorus Incarnate. Some dude decided to drop a Lando I for Zapdos, I believe, and like I didn't really. When I heard it, I was like, okay, I want Lando I. It was like number 2 on my big board before the draft, and it's just way better than Lando T, because it has 10 more points in speed, which is amazing. 101 is a great speed tier. It has the sheer force ability with a 125 special attack, and it's just way better than Lando T, even though it's not as good defensively as Lando. But with my Amoonguss Slowking core, I'm not too worried about like warning stuff. Scolipede will like be my Aselgar, like my kinda a clone of Aselgar, just with a little more offensive presence, but it's mainly therefore to set up spikes early game, hit something hard with like a Mega Horn or Poison Jab. And as you can see, this week I bring Agility Baton Pass, and with Scolipede and the speed boost, I can easily Baton Pass speed into Hooper or Lando I, which I will get next week, and it just adds a whole new dimension to my team with the added speed. Even though it's not as fast as the Selgar, but it can just protect and outspeed basically anything that's even scarfed. And Scolipede is just a very solid mon in this form, but nothing really like switching in on it, and it will just help me with my Hooper, which like is an amazing mod, but has terrible speed here. So yeah, it will really help me to cover up that weakness that Hooper has and make it more effective, because I haven't used it well in the season. I didn't use it in week 2, even though I probably should have, and I just got 1 kill in week 1 with it, even though I could have gotten more, I guess, but I just decided that Lopan he could clean up the game. But it really like helps me getting kills with Hooper and like make prepping way harder for my opponents. And Slowking is basically the special variant of Slowbro, so there's that. It synergizes just as well with my Amoonguss, and I don't lose too much from that. Yeah, so just that you know, now I have like next week I will have Mega Lopunny, Hooper, and Lando I on my roster, which is, in my opinion, impossible to prep for, and I'm really hyped to get my hands on Lando. I always wanted to use it in the format, and it's gonna be really fun. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you think of my team this week, and check out my battle versus Kyle tomorrow. It's gonna be a fun one, even though like it's probably gonna be a short one because we have like a lot of offensive threats. It's not gonna be like my like week 2 where I had a 33 minutes post come. It's gonna be a fun short video, I guess, and yeah, let's see if we can get the win. See you.